Hashem's loving grace, welcome to Parsha Pearls. This week's Parsha is Vayichi. This is the final Parsha, final Torah portion in the book of Genesis. We're now in the last chapter of Genesis, chapter 50, and it's a very dramatic chapter. The sons of Jacob, along with their entourage, a tremendous entourage of all the Egyptian nobility, they come back from Hebron, from the land of Israel, where they've just buried Jacob. And Jacob was a hero and an icon in all of Egypt, because when Jacob's coming to Egypt, the famine stopped after 2 years, supposed to be a 7-year famine, and people literally worship Jacob. Okay, so they came back, and now the brothers are really worried. And the brothers saying, now that our father isn't here anymore, Joseph, who is now the viceroy of Egypt, Joseph is liable to take revenge on us, and we're in big trouble. So they all appeal to Joseph, and they make up a white lie. They make up a white lie. They say, Joseph, father demanded before he died that you forgive us, wants to forgive us. Joseph started crying. He says, what do you guys think? You think I'm an assistant God? I've got power of a God? I mean, I don't have the power to do any good for you, to do any harm. He says, a million like me cannot drop one hair of your head. And he says, okay, maybe you thought that you were doing bad to me and you feel bad about it, you got a guilty conscience, but Hashem thought he was doing good. Then Hashem turned all your evil intentions, Hashem turned into good intentions. Joseph is teaching his brothers a lesson in Emuna. The lesson in Emuna is for us, for all of posterity, that nobody can touch a hair on their head. The biggest enemy, they can have the worst designs. And Hashem, there's a law, we learn in Talmud, HaTotzah lo biyadcha, that the outcome is not in your hands. Because we learn in our first principle of Emuna that Hashem, he alone does and will do everything. So maybe we might do something, but the outcome of whatever we do is in Hashem's hands, whether good or bad. How many times have you thought, oh, something is really great? You bought a new house, and it turns out you've got a terrible neighbor. It turns out it's a terrible house, and you spend all types of money, and it was a terrible buy. Or something looks terrible. A person received a letter of termination from his employment, and he would have stayed there for another 30 years if they wouldn't have fired him. But now they fired him, he looks for a job, and all of a sudden he finds a job with double the salary and better bosses and much nicer, much more chances of advancement. He would have never dreamed of changing. But Hashem takes sometimes good things and turns them the other way, and takes sometimes seemingly bad things, turns off the good. But ultimately, everything Hashem does is for all our ultimate good. And this is the lesson Joseph is teaching his brothers. It's not you, and it's not what you thought. We're not Hashem. We can't decide anything. And we don't, the fate of whatever happens in the world, it's up to Hashem. Okay, we can only do our very best to do Hashem's world. So with that in mind, what we learn in Parshas Vayichi, straight from the mouth of Joseph the Tzaddik, not to worry about anything, no matter what happens, it's all from Hashem, and just look to Hashem, hope for Hashem, pray to Hashem, and everything will turn out for the very best. Amen. God bless for a wonderful week.